Greeting, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Stan Houston. This is Interesting Ideas. And this past week, I've been going through a series of little presentations about how to be a storyteller, because you're in life and you're in business. That's true of everyone. And you need to know that storytelling is the most effective means of communication. And because of that truth, you need to know why and how and what to do. And that's what we've been trying to do this week. Now, as I said before, this is just a brief introduction. And if you want the whole story, we can talk about that. And I can help you and your colleagues and your team become world-class storytellers and broadcasters so that you can get your message out there. The reports of the future are not good. Today, we are discovering that more and more the worldwide inflation and the worldwide crisis in a number of things is not getting better, and people are expecting that, at least for those of us in North America, that the summer will be a difficult time. So, times for thoughts, times for prayers, times for good thinking, and times for good ideas. And I also want to do something today that might give you a sign of hope. I do confess the title is correct. Every time I think of Apollo 13 and every time I see the film, I really start to cry. And I'm going to tell you why. That's the program for today. This is Interesting Ideas, and the program begins right now. There are many reasons why you should be a storyteller, and we've talked about a few of them. And there are many things that you can do to be a great storyteller, but we just kind of touched the surface in that, but we can do more. But if you want to be a good storyteller, you just learn how to start by saying, let me tell you a story, and then you do something that is the equivalent of they lived happily ever after. You have something about your story where what do you want people to feel? That's right. What do you want them to feel? What do you want them to experience? What do you want them to know? And perhaps, maybe you want them to do something. Well, let's go back to a story which touched us all deeply if we went through it, and as I said, still touches me deeply every time I see the film. And that was the world-class film produced by Ron Howard about Apollo 13, and it was literally a reenactment as best as they could of that lunar landing gone astray. Apollo 11, they made it, the first trip to the moon, and they returned successfully. Apollo 12, they did the same thing. And now it seemed like it would be kind of routine. Apollo 13. And so it blasted off, and it was on its way to the moon. And all of a sudden, there was a large clunk. And then that calm expression from men of great courage and calmness, Houston, we've got a problem. And it turned out that the problem was really a problem. In fact, it was something that would probably kill them. What had happened is now there had been a major explosion, and how in the world are they going to get back to planet Earth alive? And then the men and women of NASA, the space agency, day and night, trying to figure out a way to keep the astronauts alive and then go all the way to the moon and find a way to circle it. Of course, they're not going to land it. Be able to circle it and then come back to planet Earth and hopefully make it through the fiery re-entry and be alive. It almost sounded like a hopeless challenge. But that's what we, those who were around, lived through those days as, will it make it? Will it be able to do it? And of course, the odds were profoundly against them. But it was remarkable. The creativity that the engineers kind of showed and the scientists put together kind of a jury rig to make things, and they just were able to find a way to go into the lunar lander, which they're not going to use, and be able in that way to survive with the air supply that might be available there. And then when they finally got around, oh, good, it worked. They got around the moon, and can they maneuver enough yet to get back on the right course? And then, of course, what happened is on the way. Now, I think some of you know what the issue was. Are they going to make it back? Now, the reason I want to talk about that is because it illustrates a significant point that I want to teach you and perhaps maybe coax you into thinking about. Our hearts and minds love stories. And even when we have sad stories, which we call a tragedy, they do that. They touch our heart. They touch our emotions. We are wired. We are hardwired for stories. That's who we are. And why we have that special God-given gift in us, who knows? But the whole idea of, life is a journey, life is a story, and creation is a journey, an explosion of creation. And it's on a journey too. And it has a story. And so much of our history, of course, even the archaeologists and the anthropologists and all the people who go into science are actually looking for a story to explain things, a story to understand things. And once they have a story, they hopefully have knowledge. In fact, all knowledge is basically story-based. We are made, we are created as storytelling people. However, there's one more thing. Every good story is a rescue story. Every good story is a rescue story. In effect, someone wants to achieve something. Something gets in the way. Something gets lost. Something goes astray. Something needs saving. Something needs rescuing. Something needs redeeming. Something needs to happen so that we can live and go on. Something needs to be rescued. And of course, that was the whole point of the movie that Ron Howard put together. How do we rescue the men of Apollo 13 on their way back? Now, just a brief summary of what happened and why the story became so powerful. And then with your permission, I'm actually going to play a little piece from the film, and you can use your imagination as you hear the sound. But here was the deal. They're on the way back. And everything, it's remarkable. It's gone well so far, and they are now approaching the planet Earth. But the re-entry is that they have to go through the Earth's atmosphere. And what will happen is the going through the Earth's atmosphere will, as it always did before, in effect, the temperature outside the capsule will be 5,000 degrees. Literally, without the heat shield, it will burn up. And of course, in some respects, one of the things that later happened with the space shuttle was just that. Something went wrong with the heat protecting shields. And of course, there was that tragedy where the space shuttle actually did burn up and all of the people were lost on it. That story didn't end well at all. But they were trying to make that happen. And so here was the deal, and here was the scary part. And again, some of you know the story, but may I repeat it for you? What was going to happen is they were now going to re-enter. And here was the problem. When they are going through that heat, that re-entry, it is so fiery that there is no ability for radio communication. They don't know what's going to happen. They can't be in contact with each other. The Odyssey space capsule and the men and women at Houston. And so for 3 minutes they know when that entry begins that there will be no communication at all. And hopefully they'll get through it, but they'll know after the 3 minutes whether they made it. And of course what happened is that it went down and they said, okay, here we are. It's 1 minute. Now it's 2 minutes and pictures of people being anxious, wondering, okay, here we coming up. 3 minutes, and no other space capsule had ever gone longer than 3 minutes before it came out and was able to make contact. 3 minutes, nothing. They call, nothing. And you remember seeing, all of a sudden, the family, the people, the men and women at the spacecraft station in Houston, all of a sudden, 3 minutes, 30 seconds. Uh-oh. And we are all just, oh my goodness. And then, if it approaches 4 minutes, something is terribly wrong. It probably didn't make it. 3 minutes, 45 seconds, 4 minutes, nothing, 4:20, and in one last gasp, the space controller calls out, Odyssey, this is Houston. And then all of a sudden there's a crackle. And this is Odyssey. Here we are. And you remember, and I still tear up their relief, their joy, the fact that they're so happy. It is a rescue story. And then they see it on the TV and the parachutes go out and they land and then the astronauts come out. As I say, every time I see it, I tear up. So as I play this little excerpt from the film, see your feelings too. Here we go.
Back to the Iwo Jima and our live cameras there. The Navy recovery and rescue helicopters already airborne, circling, waiting for first radar contact.
3 minutes until time of drogue deployment. Standing by for any reports of acquisition.
One minute and 30 seconds to end of blackout.
No re-entering ship has ever taken longer than 3 minutes to emerge from blackout. This is the critical moment. Will the heat shield hold? Will the command module survive the intense heat of re-entry? If it doesn't, there'll only be silence.
Okay, flight, that's 3 minutes. We are standing by for acquisition.
Odyssey, Houston, do you read me?
Odyssey, this is Houston. Do you read?
Expected time of reacquisition, the time when the astronauts were expected to come out of blackout, has come and gone. But all any of us can do now is just listen and hope. We're about to learn whether or not that heat shield, which was damaged, as you remember, by the explosion 3 days ago, has withstood the inferno of re-entry.
Odyssey, this is Houston. Do you read me? Odyssey, Houston, do you read me?
3 minutes, 30 seconds, standing by.
Odyssey, Houston, do you read me? Odyssey, this is Houston. Do you read me?
That's 4 minutes, standing by.
Odyssey, Houston, do you read?
Hello, Houston. This is Odyssey. It's good to see you again.
Odyssey, Houston. Welcome home. We're glad to see you.
And there it was. Joy to the world. Their home. What we all want to do in some way is wherever we go, whatever we go through, to know that we are home again. Well, there you have it, a rescue story. And I hope you'll remember that. And I wish you all the best and blessings. Have a good weekend. And remember, keep telling stories and enjoy those stories that particularly show you that truly every story, good story, is a rescue story. I'm Stan Houston, wishing you good stories ahead of you, best and blessings. Till next time, bye for now.